Well, I think that the Biden administration has perverted the entire concept of democracy. They don't know what democracy is. I'm not going to get into a conspiracy, uh, you ridden conversation about January 6th, but I will tell you this: when the Democratic Party brags openly, and they did this in a Time magazine article about using extra constitutional means to manipulate the election to get Joe Biden, the least qualified man in the history of America, in the office. Now, I know he was running against the second least qualified person in the history of America, Donald Trump. I'm not here to sing Donald Trump's praises. I'm not saying that they stole the election the way Donald Trump says. I'm saying that he perverted democracy, because there was a way things were supposed to happen, and the Democrats took advantage of COVID-19, took advantage of the pandemic to manipulate this in a way that was extra constitutional at the least. Some people could make an argument that it was unconstitutional, but he came into power, and then he punishes those who dare challenge this. You don't have to agree with Donald Trump that the election was stolen. You must agree that people should be allowed to make that claim. You don't have to agree. You can disagree with everything I'm saying right now. That's your right. But you can't tell me that I can't say it, that I don't have a right to say it. I have every right to say it. Biden's approach is no, you can't talk about it. Biden's approach is if you do anything that challenges the dictate of the Biden administration, whether it be on elections, whether it be on COVID, whether it be on Ukraine, whether it be on Israel, you are somehow the enemy. Misinformation, disinformation, you must be silenced. He's a joke. His administration's a joke. But the biggest joke of all is the American people that continue to tolerate this man in office. If there was ever time for a revolution, now's the time. And I'm not asking for violent revolution. I'm asking for a revolution of democracy, for people to wake up and say, we will now go to the polls and remove him from power the way the Constitution was designed. The one guy that was trying to challenge him, RFK Jr., the Democrats won't even let him run. That's why he had to move over to be an independent, because they gamed the system. American people, do you understand that? You call yourself a democracy, and yet you sat by in silence while the Democratic National Convention gamed the system so that RFK Jr. could never even have a chance to put his name out there and run against Biden, as democracies are supposed to allow them to run. If you don't like RFK Jr., congratulations, join the crowd. There's many people like you, but you can't say we're not going to give him a chance to go up against Biden. If you don't like him, vote against him, vote for Biden. But what you can't tolerate is a system where the Democrats, the Democratic National Committee, says we're afraid of competition because they realize that the senile old man in office right now is not up to the task, and it's an embarrassment. And if he runs, he'll probably be beat, but they're going to keep him on the ballot so that they can game the system so that he will become the designee, and then they can replace him with somebody who didn't go through the primary process. And you call this democracy. So here we are, just setting up straight up that Joe Biden's America is the least democratic institution on the planet of any nations that call themselves democracies. And so therefore, why are you surprised when he says funding a war that is the byproduct of irresponsible American geopolitical posturing in Europe, the expansion of NATO, policies to constrain, policies to diminish, policies to regime change in Russia? That's not democracy, ladies and gentlemen. That's old-fashioned power politics. That's what we're talking about. And he wants to put more money into that. Understand, most of the money that we talk about giving to Ukraine will never go to Ukraine. It will go to American defense contractors who are going to be building the munitions that we've given to Ukraine to replace the stockpiles we put in. So none of that money, hardly any of that money, will go to Ukraine. Even if it's all voted for, it's not going to change the reality of Ukraine. And the reality of Ukraine, ladies and gentlemen, is that Joe Biden, in the defense of so-called democracy, has caused a modern nation state to undergo one of the most catastrophic experiences imaginable. They've lost 20% of their land. They've lost 500,000 men dead in combat. The combat's still going because we fund it. They're going to lose hundreds of thousands of more. They're going to lose more territory. Tens of millions of people have been displaced from their homes. Entire generation of children will grow up in chaos and anarchy without the stability necessary for the education that's going to move them forward. That's Joe Biden's vision of democracy. He is a disgusting man. America is a disgusting nation for putting him forward and allowing this to happen. If we want to redeem ourselves, Congress must never allow a penny of this money to be allocated to Ukraine, nor should we allow it to be allocated to Israel. Every dollar that goes to Israel allows Israel to take a bomb and drop it on innocent Palestinian people. I don't give a damn what you think about Hamas. But if you're blaming the Palestinian people for whatever you think Hamas did or didn't do, then you're wrong. You're the problem. This is genocide, straight up genocide. The world is silent while 2 million people are being sentenced to death by a Zionist entity that stole land, that has been oppressing people. People say Israel must have a right to defend itself. The occupier can never claim a right of defense from the occupied. And Israel is an occupying power. Therefore, whatever Hamas does in response to that, Israel can't say we must have a right to defend ourselves. The best defense Israel has is to get the hell out of Palestine, create a two-nation state, and learn to live in peace. But they won't do that because America is empowering the Zionists. Why? I've already said it. Because they bought the U.S. Congress. They own us. Congratulations, America. You are merely an adjunct of the greater Israeli nation. That's all you're good for. Sit back, be quiet while they slaughter the Palestinians, and the Congress they paid for, not the one you elected, they paid for it, will continue to allocate funds to keep this genocidal system functioning. And you want me to be happy this morning, Cynthia.
I'm sorry.